As days turned into weeks and months turned into years, Maura Murray's family and friends continue to look for answers.
No credible sightings since the night she's been missing. State police have received reports of sightings, but none have been credible. To this day, we don't know exactly what happened to Maura.
Not one piece of personal effect. Clothing, a bag, book. There were no remnants of anything that Maura Murray had with her that night when she walked away from that vehicle. Nothing's been found. And we've done quite a bit of searching up there.
Now the search has gone digital and viral. Internet sleuths are hunting down leads on websites, forums, blogs, and message boards, and everyone in this virtual community has a theory.
Regularly monitor blogs and internet postings associated with this case.
Especially early on, we actually had a couple of guys participated under a pseudo identity and interacted with people. Because if we're doing it, the bad guy, the perpetrator, could be doing it too. And that's why these blogs are good, but you have to be careful about what you put out there.
We're averaging about 2,000 or 3,000 a week.
Is it?
On the website. There were times when we would have almost 50,000 in a day.
Helena Dwyer Murray is Maura's aunt and manager of the Maura Murray Facebook page and website. She also ran a forum, but shut it down.
People start bickering, and it's very difficult to read it even if you're not participating in it. You know, they've said some horrible things about me, about Fred, about everybody. It can get very nasty, but on the opposite side, you've got some people who have just been wonderful.
There are some people on topics and whatever who have, I believe, put out lots of really false information, and I think it was because they were trying to deter people. And of course, we don't know who those people are because the moniker certainly hides people.
Why would people do that? Will want to put out false information?
Well, I think there's probably lots of motives, but more than likely, some people are just internet trolls who want to come out and just cause havoc on no matter what it is, whether it be a missing person, somebody with cancer, somebody's house just burnt down. Someone is going to come out and do something against it. It's because they can hide behind a computer screen and say what they want. And I think that's why they do it.
This case must have been like a breeding ground for those types of people, right? I mean, with all of the stuff that's going on and all the developments, all the theories, I mean to say, this is it must have been like I said, like a breeding ground. They must have loved it.
It was a breeding ground, and people thrive on that kind of stuff. And, like I say, you have the people that sit home and have nothing better to do than to troll these boards and just cause trouble. And, I've done a lot of research over the time of people's monikers that they use, and you come to find out that you find them in lots of different groups doing the same thing. Sometimes they use almost the same name, moniker, and everything, or you can track it back, and it's amazing what they will say to people. It's just like what people say on Facebook to people using their real name. That's insane. So these people behind the scenes, they've got nothing to lose, because unless you're the police, we don't know who they are,
Do you think there's a specific reason that people have inserted themselves into this case?
Well, I think there's a couple different reasons that certain people have decided we're going to take this on. I think a lot of people think that they could be an armchair detective, or they can make a film, or they can do a documentary, or they can do whatever. Most of the time, I don't think they're doing a good thing. I think they're doing it because it brings some light onto their company, or them as an individual, or whatever.
you found there's a similar personality type between citizen detectives?
Oh yeah. Oh, there's archetypes. What you find is, and it also depends on where they are too. So if you have a closed Facebook group, the main three places in terms of a forum, and you have other forums too. You have the Unsolved Mysteries forum is still active, and people still comment on that. But and you have little ones sort of here and there. And certainly with hers was one of the first ones where people were commenting on alt message boards and things. But now there's three main places. There's web sleuths, there's Facebook, and then there's Reddit. There are these different types of archetypes. You've got on Reddit, it's anonymous, so it's gonna be a little bit more caustic. They're gonna know if you have an agenda, and they're gonna read through it. On Facebook, it's a little bit more of a nurturing community, and so is web sleuths, because they have a little bit more rules, and they have moderators that are going to slap you down and say if you don't do it. I'm seeing this a lot now with the case I'm working on, the Allenstown 4 case, which happened right up in New Hampshire. And I had actually, I've interviewed Jeff Strelzlin twice for that case, and my first interview with him was about Maura. And Jeff has seen citizen detectives act before. He's seen that it's work, so he's fine with it. And he reads everything that somebody sends him. He just will say that just don't interfere with the investigation. So you've got people that are either will dabble in case after case after case. You got people that will start, as soon as something happens, they'll start trying to find out information, which can be bad, especially if they name names, which is what happened recently in Charlottesville, where they saw the car and then they started doxing the car, and then they realized that, hey, it's this guy, and this guy's like, I sold the car, this is not me. Then he had to put out a public statement because the pitchforks were out for him. So you have those people, you have the people that are a little bit more of a long game, which is kind of like web sleuths. And then you have from there the people that really break out and try to start their own thing. I'm going to forget about this. I'm going to start my own Facebook group, or I'm going to start my own website or something based on this crime. And then the question is for them is that after that crime is solved, or if it is solved, where will they go from there? Will they go to another crime, or will they just say, I'm done with it?
Do you think her relationship with Billy Rausch was some kind of manipulation on her part, or do you think she was really in love with him?
I think Maura Murray was a sociopath, and whether or not you believe that sociopaths have the ability to experience what other people would call love, I don't know. I think Maura Murray was at her best when she was with Billy Rausch, and I think maybe there's a part of her that was trying to change and trying to strive to be a better person, and Billy certainly brought that person out. They had their problems like every other couple, but I've talked to Bill, and he's a stand-up guy, and his family's a good family, and she was certainly happy and safe when she was with the Rausches here in Ohio. But then, at the end of the summers, at the end of the holidays, she get pulled back into UMass. And, she became that girl from Hanson who had her secret troubles. And that's when she'd start to get into trouble again. Maura Murray could still be out there. She could still, and I believe she is out there, but she could specifically be here in the United States still. I happen to think that she's probably in Canada, but she could be in the United States. She could still be working under the name Maura Murray. She could be paying taxes, and nobody would know.
He is certain Maura is alive and well.
And I believe the plan was to stay in New Hampshire or Vermont for the night and then to cross the Canadian border. So I think she got into this accident up in New Hampshire. Whoever she was traveling with in this other vehicle ahead of her, they turned around and they picked her up and they got out of there.
Could Renner be right?
Probability of her living a life somewhere else is probably the least likely, but it's not off the table. Nothing's off the table.
Renner says he uncovered several reasons why Maura may have wanted to disappear. One, a case of credit card fraud.
She gets in trouble for using somebody else's credit card number to order around $80 worth of food. The police catch her. She gets in trouble for that. They take her picture, they run a report, and she goes in front of a judge down there, and the judge says, hey, look, you're young, you're ambitious, you come from West Point, we're going to give you a chance. If you can stay out of trouble for 6 months, we're going to wipe this clean.
Renner says the accident with her father's car would have jeopardized her record.
Now, she's going to be charged for that accident. At the very least, she's going to be charged with a failure to control that vehicle. I believe at that point she realized that that prior credit card trouble that she was facing was going to come back. I think Maura realized she had an opportunity to escape all the troubles in her life, and she had an opportunity to leave all this behind and start over. And I think that's why she climbed into her car and drove up into the North Country.
Why do people feel the need to make fake leads in a 10-year-old case? I guess this calls for some speculation, too.
Well, because they're morons. It could be sociopath, it could be psychopaths. I mean, they want to get their name in print. Mm-hmm. They're going to think of something and say, oh, wow, that's I heard this or I heard that. And that's why when I was reading something, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, come on here. They don't have any knowledge of investigations. They don't know how investigations work. I mean, a lot of people don't know how cops work. They certainly don't know how homicide cases come together. I think it's combinations of those kinds of stuff. They're lonely, sitting on their beanbag chair doing nothing. There's that Ron White said, I'm sitting in my beanbag chair naked eating Cheetos or something. There's a lot of different reasons. You know, they're looking for that moment of glory where they propose something to your group or have an idea or here's a lead that I heard of. You know, it gives them their kind of a moment in fame. I don't get this. So do you do it to satisfy a personal craving? Yeah, could be. Do you do it because you want some publicity? Yeah. Do you want to interject yourself into a high-profile case, whether you're writing a book or whether you're doing a documentary? Yeah. You're going to get something out of it personally. Are you doing it to help out the family? No. Because that's not the way you do it. Not in my opinion. I mean, I know there was some good stuff with Fred, and rightfully so, but you're not going to clear this case until we find her body. You can speculate all day long. You can do this. You can write books. You can do whatever. And I'm sorry, it's not going to go anywhere until she's found.